In Unreal Engine's multiplayer system, only the server has authority. Client can do stuff like move around, shoot, or interact, but they are not allowed to control the actual game state, like health, score, inventory, etc. When a client tries to change something like player health, they're only changing it locally. That change isn't real. It doesn't replicate, it doesn't matter. The server holds the real version of the variable, and that's what gets synced to everyone else. Let's say you did let the client handle something important, like subtracting damage when they get shot. They could just use Cheat Engine, a free memory editor, to change player health to, let's say, 9999, or freeze it so it never drops. They could also bypass your damage function entirely, or call it with fake values to avoid dying. If your server listens to the client blindly, you basically handed cheaters the key to your game. Here are some real tools people use to break games. Engines like Cheat Engine, which edits health, ammo, speed, and lock values in memory. They also use DLL injectors, which inject code to override logic like is dead equals false. They also use packet editors, which intercepts and modify network data on the fly. And another thing they could also be using is game trainers, custom hotkeys menus to trigger cheats with a click. All of these work by exploiting client-side logic. That's why you never want to put critical systems in the client hands. So how do you let players interact with the game securely? You use Server RPCs, remote procedure calls. A Server RPC is a function that clients call, but it runs on the server, which keeps everything in sync and secure. For example, if a client gets shot and calls server take damage function, the server receives it, verifies it, and it verifies the request and subtracts the damage. Then it replicates the updated health back to all clients. You can even add additional validation to prevent bad data from going through. Here's the insecure setup. In this version, the client takes damage and modifies their own player health. A cheater could overwrite this, ignore it, or even increase health instead. If you're replicating that value from the client to the server, it's game over. Here's the secure version. Player health is replicated from the server only. Take damage is a server RPC. Client sends a damage request. Server checks if it's valid. If yes, server subtracts health and replicates the change. In this setup, cheaters are locked out and the server controls the truth. Want to go even deeper? Don't even let the client tell you they took damage. Let the server handle the entire chain of logic. A bullet hits, server registers collision, server confirms it's a valid hit, server applies the damage directly. The only thing the client does is say, I fired. The rest is handled where it can't be hacked. That is why Unreal doesn't let client change variables, and why you shouldn't either. Keep your logic server side, validate all inputs, and don't trust the client with anything critical. If this helped you understand multiplayer networking better, hit that like button, drop your question in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more UE breakdowns. If you're working on a project and never get stuck, join my Discord. We got dev support, feedback, blueprint help, multiplayer tips, the whole deal. Links in the description below. We'll love to see you there. And if you're dealing with messy blueprints and tons of casting everywhere, click the video on the right. I'll show you how to clean up with interfaces and make your code way more modular. Thanks for watching, DevHeads. Catch you on the next one.